You're listening to Big World Network.
Amazing Grace, Episode 6. Written by James Hellvig. Read by Meagan Hedin. Grunting with effort, Alberto tries to sidestep the advancing attack and narrowly manages to block a savage blow aimed at his solar plexus. His instructor grins wolfishly. As his eyes widen in surprise, Alberto was swept hard onto his back in a reaping aikido movement performed with precision, faster than the watching audience of junior instructors can follow. Swiveling to face the stunned young man on the floor, Tammy drops to one knee beside her star pupil and lightly slaps his forehead. "Why are we here?" she asks both Alberto and the student seated around the mat. Alberto blinks, trying to clear his head and regain control of his breathing. Looking over her shoulder, Tammy nods, acknowledging Sue's raised hand, but notices Regis's rapt attention and slight frown at the scattered group of spectators. "Ma'am," Sue says. "Specifically, I believe it's because Alberto tried to move inside when blocking the last technique." Smiling in response, Tammy glances at Alberto and raises an eyebrow. "Would you agree, Alberto?" Mouth open and sucking in air, the young man nods his head in agreement. Standing, Tammy extends her hand and helps pull him to his feet. Patting his shoulder, she tells him, "Good job. Take a seat." Waiting until he plops down and removes his mouthpiece, Tammy continues. "You're both right in that, by moving inside, he was easier to take down. But I ask all of you again, why are we here?" Pointing to students, she takes answers from each one of them before finishing the lesson by saying, "All good answers, but only partially correct. We're here, people, to learn how to evaluate situations and events that affect our lives, and to learn how to effectively channel and control our reactions to them." Giving them time to ponder the information, Tammy scans the spectators, noting the smile and nod from Mother Steele in the back. Bringing the class to attention, she dismisses them and watches as Alberto and Regis head to the exit together. Mother Steele approaches, wearing sweats and smiling wistfully. "Young love," she says softly. Chuckling, Tammy hugs the older woman, whispering, "Young lust, more likely." Returning the hug and snorting with laughter, Mother Steele asks, "I trust you won't be slamming these old bones into the mat quite so vigorously?" Tilting her head to one side in mock contemplation, Tammy replies, "That depends. Are you still treating me to dinner?" Sighing loudly and rolling her eyes, Mother Steele mutters, "Blackmail is a sin, you know." Smiling broadly at her friend as they begin to stretch together, Tammy says brightly, "Well, yeah, but it's a little one." The months of turmoil caused by the lack of clear leadership in the gang have resulted in them losing members. The infighting for control has been bloody. Jorge has been using careful manipulation of the mantra of brotherhood to rally members to support and solidify his position. There are still problems, but he is getting a handle on them. Until this. Sitting bound to a chair in a darkened room with no idea of how he came to be there. "How in the hell could this happen? I was asleep in a house full of homeboys." Bright lights glare to life, blinding him. Squinting, he can vaguely perceive an outlined figure just beyond the dazzling light. A mechanized voice tells him, "Congratulations, Jorge. You have proved your prowess by seizing command. I brought you here because I wonder, are you smart enough to use those abilities to become rich?" The lights dim and the black-clad figure wearing a demonic mask sits down in a chair a few feet from him, explaining the history of Jorge's position and the consequences of rejection. Alberto whistles softly as he walks back home. The neighborhood has been steadily improving over the past year, with a sharp decline in gang violence. He feels proud to have been playing a part in that. Word is that a new leader has risen to power, but Alberto is unconcerned. Gang politics and power struggles are the farthest things from his mind. His thoughts are on Regis, his training, and graduation. A college education even seems possible. Violet eyes watch as the happy young man bounds up the steps leading into his building.
This has been a presentation of Big World Network. Visit us on BigWorldNetwork.com for more free weekly series, or follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for listening.
You're listening to Big World Network.